this word comes from, by the way, the same reason that coronavirus is called corona, it comes from the outer layer of the sun. If you look at the sun has gas around it, and if you were to cover up the sun itself, you would still see sort of this halo around it, kind of like a glowing light around it. That's called the corona. Succeed sounds like a word we use for doing something, winning, right? I succeeded. But there's another meaning of the word succeed. And it means to take up the place of a previous person in a position of power. It doesn't have to be for royalty. So let's say we're talking here about royalty, all right? We're talking about a monarchy. Royalty just generally is the class of people who are up there in the family of kings and queens and princesses and princes. If you're in that group, you are royalty. You're part of a monarchy. So the monarchy is the system of government. It's the style of government. Now, in the UK, there is a monarchy, but it's not that the monarchy is in charge, of course, because the UK is a democratic government, right? But the monarchy is still there. Some countries, when they change governments or they go from monarchy to democracy, for example, then the royal family is just gone then. They don't have one anymore. But sometimes they keep it as a sort of cultural thing. They do have some responsibilities, but really they're just kind of, they're just there, right? And so this would be compared to something like an oligarchy, a democracy, and a dictatorship. Different forms of government, right? So royalty they're in a monarchy. The person, though, the person in charge of this is the monarch. The monarch. And they are, it's a weird word, right? They are reigning. And you hear things like during, there's an I, just imagine that's an I, okay? During his or her reign, R-E-I-G-N. During his or her reign, so many interesting things happened, right? So that's just a period of time when they were there. So during the reign of Queen Elizabeth II, maybe, I don't know, when did she become queen? End of World War II or something like that, right? Whenever it was. During her reign, the world became a technological nightmare, or whatever you want to say about that period of time, right? So it's kind of a way to mark a period, but reigning is kind of the activity, and that's not really an action you take, like drinking a glass of 7-Up. It's more like a general description of what you're doing broadly, kind of like living, reigning, living, existing, right? It's a sort of category of existing for a monarch in a way, and they're in charge. They're in charge, and that's their status, right? Okay, but now Queen Elizabeth II has passed away. From what I understand, peacefully. I'll be totally honest, I thought she died a long time ago. And then I saw the news that she passed away, and I remembered, oh, she was still alive. Oh, now she's dead. Okay, well, I mean, she was very old, right? No disrespect, of course, but well, anyway, so then the question is, what happens next? Great. So I talked about the word succeed. So to succeed in this sense, normally we think of succeed as to accomplish something. This sense of succeed is to take over from the head monarch, so the queen. Now that could be a male or a female. If it's a male, then that person would be a king. Now, if it's a female, that person would be of course, a queen. So I believe it's her son Charles who will be succeeding to the throne. So you might see that. Charles the third succeeded. Charles succeeded. And sometimes you'll hear to or not. Succeeded the throne or succeeded to the throne. Oops. Oh, let me try that again. Throne. Yes, perfect. Okay. Succeeded to the throne or succeeded the throne. And sometimes you'll hear instead of throne, crown. Now, the crown is the hat, the golden hat, right? That's what you get. If you're a king or a queen, the biggest benefit is that you get to wear a cool hat made of diamonds and gold. The throne is the cool chair you get to sit in. So you get a cool chair and you get a cool hat. So if you're sitting in the chair, that's your throne, and if you're sitting in your hat, that's your crown. Right? That's how it works. Now, throne is it can be used generally for chairs, but most of the time we just use these two words when we're talking about royalty, okay? So we know succeed, right? But what about when we want to talk about Charles before he becomes the king? I believe now he will be called King Charles, and then you'll see King, something like this. I think it'll be King Charles, capital I, capital I, capital I. And the way that we will say that is, instead of King Charles I, we'll say King Charles the Third. Queen Elizabeth I the Second. These are called Roman numerals, okay? So, if we want to talk about him before he becomes King Charles III and he's just Prince Charles, then he is the heir to the throne. Heir to the throne means that he's the one in line. He's the one that's next. Now, what if, as soon as Queen Elizabeth passed away, King Charles decided to celebrate by going skydiving and forgot his parachute? Of course, that would be a major tragedy, but if that were to happen and he didn't make it, then there would be a third person. And if that person were celebrating with by jumping a large ramp in rollerblades, and that went wrong. So there's a line, and this is called the line of succession. So it goes back to that word succeed. The line of succession is the line of people who are sort of in line to get the crown or in line for the throne. And you can say it either way. Okay, now the last word I want to mention. Oh, by the way, I think he could be called, I'm not sure if people call him this, but I think another way to say heir would be if we say crown prince. And I think if we say crown prince, that means you are in line. A crown prince rather than just a prince. It's like prince plus, right? Prince plus means just a prince, yeah, you have no chance of becoming king. Crown prince means you're in the line of succession and you are a prince. I believe that's how it works. Okay, so now what do we say when he takes the throne? Sometimes you'll hear take. It sounds kind of like taking forcefully, right? Charles will take the throne. What do we say when that happens? What's the ceremony, right? I'm running out of room here, but the ceremony is called a coronation. Now, why is it called a coronation instead of a crownation or a crown-giving ceremony or a crown party? That's a good one. It should be called a crown party. I think that would be awesome if it were called, hey, everyone, we're doing the crown party. It's this weekend. Charles is getting the crown. He's going to get a cool chair, and he's going to be king. It's going to be great. That's how it should be said. But no, it's called a coronation. And the reason it's called a coronation, if you see here the word corona, this word comes from, by the way, the same reason that coronavirus is called corona, it comes from the outer layer of the sun. If you look at the sun has gas around it, And if you were to cover up the sun itself, you would still see sort of this halo around it, kind of like a glowing light around it. That's called the corona. And that's why the coronavirus is called that, because it looks like that. If you've seen a picture of it, it's a ball with the little knobbies on it. Well, that's what a crown looks like too. That's the reason that kings wear golden crowns. It's supposed to look like the sun. It's supposed to look like the rays of the sun. So that's why it's called a coronation. Okay? So those are just some words that you may hear floating around. I just wanted to go over those. If you have any questions, please let me know. I think the words are interesting. Personally, I don't get why people get interested in the royal family in general, but that's just a personal thing. So, as I said, if you have any questions, let me know. And don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe.